You're looking for an alto sax that doesn't just sit on a shelf with a glossy brochure, but actually shows up night after night, stays in tune through a long set, and feels like an investment rather than a gamble. The fear of spending a lot of money on a sax that ends up needing constant adjustments or, worse, a quick upgrade is real, especially when you're juggling gigs, rehearsals, and maybe a day job. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started digging into the Yamaha YAS 875EXII custom, the thing that kept popping up was the real-world angle. People who already own a decent student sax and are ready to step up, but aren't ready to dive into a handmade boutique model that can cost twice as much. The main hesitation I heard from forums is the balance between a professional-grade tone and the day-to-day maintenance a player actually has time for. In other words, you want a sax that sings when you need it to, but doesn't demand a workshop visit after every session. The YAS 875EXII lands squarely in that middle ground. It's a custom-finished professional instrument, yet it carries the Yamaha reputation for consistency. The gold lacquer isn't just a visual treat. It's a thin layer of protective coating that resists the occasional scuffs you pick up while loading the case into a car trunk. In my own gig run, the finish held up after a week of moving from a small club to a school auditorium without any noticeable wear, which is a small win you don't hear about in the spec sheet. One practical strength that shows up when you actually play it is the response of the V1 neck. Yamaha's series necks are known for a slightly darker, richer low-register resonance while still keeping the high notes agile. When I was playing a blues set and needed to bend a low B into a moody growl, the neck gave me that extra weight without sacrificing the ability to snap back into the next phrase. For a player who spends a lot of time in the middle register, that tonal heft can translate into a more confident presence on stage. The Ebonite 4cm mouthpiece that comes with the sax is another point worth noting. Ebonite is a traditional material that many players appreciate for its warm, centered tone. The 4cm size is a sweet spot for most advancing alto players. It's not so small that you're constantly fighting air pressure, and not so big that you have to relearn your embouchure from scratch. In a rehearsal scenario where you're switching between a band's alto part and a solo line, the mouthpiece let me stay in the same airflow pocket, which saved a few frustrating minutes. Now, no instrument is perfect, and the YAS 875EXII has a couple of trade-offs that show up when you look beyond the headline specs. First, the weight. The annealed brass body gives the sax a solid, resonant feel, but it also makes the instrument a tad heavier than some of the newer lightweight models that use hollow-spun brass or composite materials. If you're on a long tour and have to cart the sax up and down stairs multiple times a day, that extra pound can become noticeable. Second, the gold lacquer, while durable, is still a finish that can show minor scratches if you're not careful with the case lid. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you're a visual perfectionist. The semi-hard case included with the sax is more than just a box. Its interior padding is shaped to cradle the instrument's curves, which helps prevent the delicate keywork from getting jostled during travel. I tested it by stuffing the case with a few extra items, a music stand, a couple of extra reeds, even a small water bottle, and the sax emerged unscathed after a 3-hour drive. For gigging musicians who need a reliable, all-in-one solution, that kind of protection is a real value add. Who should consider buying this sax? If you're an intermediate player who's been playing a student model for a few years and you're starting to book regular gigs, the YAS 875EXII offers a professional tone without the boutique price tag. It's also a solid pick for a college band where you want a durable instrument that can survive the occasional bump in a dorm hallway. Teachers who need a reliable backup sax for their students will appreciate the consistent intonation and the fact that the instrument holds its pitch even after a full day of playing. Who might want to skip it? Beginners who are still mastering basic technique may find the price a bit steep for their current level, especially when a quality student sax can serve them well for a couple of years. Players who